Dharma Bites is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
I just want to draw out one teaching that I'm grateful for now, although in my early period of involvement here I didn't really even see as a teaching and even sort of resented it, I think. And that's the first noble truth, the noble truth of dukkha. So the Buddha taught that the first noble truth is the truth of suffering. Yet he understood that a true experience of dukkha is what is needed by most people to be propelled onto the path. A friend of mine, I don't know where she didn't know where she got this quote from, but I like the phrase. She said, "Unlike plants, people grow fastest when they face darkness rather than light." It's not true of everyone, but it's a common experience that if you're suffering, and I'm making a distinction here, or assuming a distinction here, between being in pain and dukkha. There's no virtue and there's no necessary development from just being in pain. It's unfortunate, and we'll all go through it in different ways. What the Dharma offers is a way of contextualising and understanding pain as suffering, and suffering that's related to the marks of conditioned existence. And by following those truths through to the fourth noble truth, there is a path beyond suffering. So for some people, I've kind of shown my hand a bit by saying that I wasn't interested in the first noble truth. I sort of actively resisted it because I didn't really want it to be true. And that was partly because I was having quite a good time. Some good things were going sort of quite well for me. And so I didn't particularly want to be in a Buddhist centre where people say, no, actually, the basic truth is suffering. I noticed that people who were progressing, as it were, more quickly than me were sometimes attracted to the idea of dukkha. And for people to whom dukkha correlates to the idea that life is painful or life doesn't work, that kind of worldview, they may well be initially more attracted to the first noble truth, as it can confirm the mental image of experiencing the world as painful. However, it's important, I think, to understand our tendencies, our characteristics of response. So if we've got a reflex that when someone says your life is painful, that we've got an instant, yes, that's how it is. It's important to keep an eye on this, because I had the opposite one, as I'm going to say something about later. But if you have an instant sense that that is true, it's good to check that out and understand, is that a response to the view that life is what, as Bhante describes, via negativa, which is basically a pessimistic view of life. So if our cast of mind or even our character is more drawn to pessimism, that isn't necessarily an understanding of dukkha. It just so happens that there's a neat fit between some words that you've picked up from someone here and your own personal view that actually, life's a bit rubbish, or my partner's just dumped me, or I've just been sacked, or I've just had this diagnosis, something like that. And something in the world is now reflecting the pain of that. What's important to get here is that the first noble truth is not an absolute truth. The fourth noble truth is evidence that the first is not an absolute truth. So dukkha, the first noble truth, Bhante Sangharakshita, among other teachers, unpacks this by saying that dukkha is methodology, not metaphysics. Dukkha is methodology, not metaphysics. And that's a very distilled way of saying that it's not that pain and suffering are the truth of things. It's that the Buddha discovered that exploring and seeing the nature of suffering is a way to advance spiritually, to be held in this case in the framework of the Four Noble Truths.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharma Bite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.